Or
How are you?
I think the idea of your show is amazing.
You put in all the work when people aren't watching.
Hey, thank you. I'm honored. Thank you for being so cool.
And that's it. Have fun.
So let's get into it.
Hey, this is John, JB Bandy, going on Cocktail Network Live.
And the concept behind BevNap mechanics is, if you recall many years ago, if you went to the deli or you went to a sandwich shop, whatever, you'd get your little number and you're waiting in line and you got your number and it says now serving, and then you're waiting for your number to be called. You know that you're going to be taken care of because you know when your number is going to come up. But when you walk in a bar, say 2 or 3 people come up at the bar in a very similar time, and then somebody gets mad because you took care of somebody else before them and they knew that they were there first. So the last thing you want to do is have people start off their experience at your bar ticked off that you kind of ignored them. It was totally innocent. You didn't do it on purpose. So what I did was BevNap mechanics. As soon as I heard somebody walk in or I heard somebody even just get near the bar, I'd look up and I'd get a BevNap and I would put a BevNap out in front of them and I just look at their eye, or I get eye contact with them. I promise I got you next. That sets them at ease. They know I've acknowledged them. So if I take an extra minute to get to them, they're not going to be mad. And then when I get there, I put the BevNap down, or they've got the BevNap in front of them. That signifies to all the other bartenders and managers, that person's already been taken care of. Move on to the guy without the BevNap. So now I'm taking care of this person. I get them their drink. They sit down. They're at ease. Everybody's happy. So making sure you do things first, get the drink down in front of them before you start playing tricks and doing, games.
When you start like reading guests, you know what the crowd pleasers are. Like I feel like the cherry trick is so underutilized. I mean, like it used to be the coolest trick ever. Like
Describe it for
oh
us, would you?
Yeah. So pretty much you have a sword pick, that you would put a lime or a cherry in a drink with, and you put it in your mouth. You have your cherry, you throw it up, you catch it on the sword pick. So you can do that with an olive or a cherry.
Right. And it's not too hard to learn, right?
What's that?
It's not too hard to learn.
No, not too hard to learn. Like everything, just a little practice, especially because cherries are pretty expendable at the bar,
Right.
You do it once or twice every time you make something with a cherry, and you'll have it in a week,
It's just like catching a Smartie in your mouth, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's just like catching something in your mouth, but the pick just throws a little bit of that, a little bit more room for error. That's it.
With your sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Michael, and you are watching Cocktail Network Live. Ciao. Woo!
All right, so tonight's cocktail is called the Streets of Mexico. It is inspired from my time in Mexico, 1202, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and actually walking the streets and seeing some of the fairs and the markets and having some local street corn, and I was really impressed. I'm like, this is amazing. This is so much fun, and I'm going to recreate that experience in a cocktail. So we got 2 ounces of Coromino, Grand Coromino, 1 ounce of mixed corn liqueur, 1 ounce of La Copa sweet vermouth, and 2 dashes of Aztec chocolate bitters. I'm down to 20 seconds. Time is flying by today, Dean. Oh my goodness. And we're going to strain that goodness over a large cube because I have it today. Top with some fresh grilled charred corn, spray of butter, smoked paprika. Woo! Coming down the wire, cilantro and coita cheese, the streets of Mexico.
Oh, there it is! Right on the money.
Hi, I'm Tom Dyer, and you're watching Cocktail Network Live.
You know, for me, before we get on to all the questions and everything, you know, Dean, you are like historically the showman, and you making that drink and pretty much everything you do, you're always a showman about it. And so much of my bartending skill and technique came from that showmanship that you always presented.
Oh, wow, man.
And all your videos and everything you do right now, I always love to see it.
I appreciate that so much. I mean, Rob and I are just kind of tripping our way through this whole thing and making it happen. And to know you're out there and cheering us on and supporting us no matter what, I greatly appreciate that, Phil. Thank you so much, man.
Hi, my name is Rafael Arce, and you are watching Cocktail Network Live. Yeah.
If I'm judging a cocktail, like the cocktail needs to be fucking delicious. It needs to be delicious. I don't care all this technique that you did to it. I don't care about all the ingredients that you use. The storytelling is absolutely an important piece of that too. But at the end of the day, your cocktail needs to taste fucking delicious.
The first year that I competed, I was interviewed by the Las Vegas Review Journal, and they said, "How do you think you're going to do?" I said, "I'm confident. I'm prepared. I'm going to win." Coming in second is like kissing your sister. Well, that year, I kissed my sister. I came back the next year and didn't place. And the third year, I trained even harder. And I was confident in my drink, the story of my drink. I was prepared, and I won that year. So it took me 3 years, but it takes a lot of work. You can't just show up and dial it in.
All right, here we go. I almost forgot what my ice cubes were already. So, starting off with, boom, some Cristalino tequila. Here's the Caramino Cristalino tequila. A little bit of simple syrup, just half an ounce of simple syrup, and some cranberry bitters from Fee Brothers Cranberry Bitters. We'll get that a little stir. Boom, boom. Well, I got plenty of time here. I already have a clear ice cube prepared over here. Just gonna get some cold and some water off of that. And we'll drop her in and strain it over top of my clear ice cube. I have struggled on a garnish for this cocktail, so therefore I'm not having one.
Yeah, my final sip basically is first the banter between you two guys. I love the way how you guys mesh very well together. It's amazing. The camaraderie between you guys is one of a kind. I also enjoyed seeing you guys make that cocktail in a minute. Okay, I mean, one of us cheated. One of you cheated, but hey, I'm not going to call any names. Okay? I know my winner, and if I was to judge, I know who the winner is. There you go.
So.
Yeah,
Damien, now that you've called me out as cheating, I guess I have to admit, yes, I cheated because I pre-shot it, and I did actually take a couple of runs at it. So in my new studio, so I knew it. I have been honest. All right, come on. This is a safe space, isn't it? Is this a safe space?
And I remember right before I won World Class in 17, I was in San Diego, and I was on a beach. And Robin Clausen was my tour guide down in San Diego. Right. And she took a picture of me looking out into the Pacific Ocean for the first time. And I remember saying to myself, I would have never in a million years back in 2000 at that bartending school imagined this journey. Never in a million years would I have thought I would see the places that I have, meet the people I have, enjoyed the successes I have. So it's just about appreciating the relationships and the opportunities that this industry affords.
In the presence of a well-made Negroni, taut nerves relax, taut muscles relax, eyes brighten, friendships deepen, and the whole world becomes a better place in which to live. As Helen would say, happiness.
How are you?
Well, I think the idea of your show is amazing.
You put in all the work when people aren't watching.
Hey, thank you. I'm honored. Thank you for being so cool.
And that's it. Have fun.
So let's get into it.
Dean, let's get into it.
Hey, let's get into it.
Buddy, it is Monday.
All
It is
right.
8 p.m. It is our time to shine. And this is the time of the week that I look forward to because I get to see you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Rob. You're so kind. I'm just playing with my iPad. Somebody forgot to plug in his computer before he started the show today. And a couple minutes ago, it just went dead. So my lovely wife, Allison, is fixing said situation, and I am improvising with my iPad. So, yeah, should be all right.
Problem solved. Way to go. And way to go, Joe, for making that happen.
All right. Allison's helping me out. So, anyway, how have you been, my friend?
It's nonstop. Another busy week. We did some great things, but more importantly, we got some great things coming up. Tomorrow, Tuesday and Thursday, I have 2 events coming up in Boca Raton, Florida, that I'm doing for some Flair Bartending and having some fun. And then on Saturday, myself, Carlos Cardoso, Chad Toko, Gene Manuel, and then Stevie P are all flying into the Poconos to guest bartend and put on a show for Kalahari Resorts for their food and not just wine festival with the old school bartender, Rick Fogel.
Oh, wow. Rick Fogel. That's a name from the past. Yeah, Bar Stars. Wow. What a great thing. Now, this isn't the first time you guys have been all out. Weren't you just in New Orleans with that same team?
Texas. Yeah, we've done this event with them at Kalahari Resorts in Texas, I think 3 years in a row. And they love the entertainment of Flair, and they love that we're actually making elevated cocktails. And like, we want to bring you to all of our resorts when we do this event. So this is the first time stepping out to another resort, and we purposely stay an extra day longer so we can just enjoy the water park. But they host us great, and I got to give a shout out to Rick Fogel and the team at Kalahari Resorts. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, Kalahari was a big part of our bartending competitions back in the day when we were running them with Flairco, and I believe they were part of the Flairco tour, the summer tour or something. But I used to love driving down there because it was only 5-6 hours away from Ontario, and we'd drive down and do the comps. Always a great time.
I think I remember going to one time in Wisconsin in the Dells, and they had a Kahunaville there. And like Kahunaville is known for being a Flair bar, so it was great.
Right. Well, I hope you guys have a great time down there. It sounds like you got a great team. And are you going to get to do all of the Kalaharis?
That's the rumor. So as long as we keep bringing smiles and flipping bottles, we'll see how it goes. But Dean, what have you been up to?
I'm just trying to remember. Where was I last week? I was here. I was in town last week. We had a couple of guests coming through the plant, so I was reorganizing and doing some things at the plant, making sure my office was ready. I came back from Italy and Portugal, all inspired to work on the program, and I'm excited. We've got a couple groups coming in tomorrow, Wednesday, starting off a new script with them, and we're getting ready for Cocktail Art Challenge and National Flair Bartenders Day.
That's going to be an amazing event. We posted the competition event, and it just happened to be on National Flair Bartenders Day, Monday, June 10th. And it's probably been the first time that I've thrown a comp where all the slots were not only sold out, but we had to oversell a couple slots before the rules were even published. That's how much people want to come down and do this competition. And it's great seeing it turn from a from a national competition to a lot of people flying in from all over the world to be here and compete in this competition, which is judged on 50% flair and 50% mixology, and with that bonus of an accurate free pour. And extremely excited to bring back the original voice of Flair, emceeing the event, Mr. JD Spradlin.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting. I'm so sad I'm not going to be there to see JD live again. And yeah, it's just going to be such a great event. I'm so excited, especially with so many things coming up the pipe or down the pipe or coming in the future. I would love to see JD be part of all of that as well. Perhaps we'll find out today.
I'm a
JD
fan.
Spradlin is joining us as a guest today. I'm so excited. So excited. JD and I go back as long as I've been in the world of Flair bartending, he's been in it. And I'm so looking forward to catching up with him today. So, yeah. You thirsty yet?
Dean, I can always use a cocktail.
All right. We're going to try to do this on my little screen. I hope I don't knock my iPad off the edge of the bar here. So I am going to attempt to do a double shaken cocktail in 1 minute. In 1 minute, I'm going to put some egg whites, actually powdered egg whites in here. That's the thing that I want to give away today is powdered egg whites. I get them on Amazon and I put them in this little tiny bottle so I can just shake them on. You'll see how easy that works in a momento. Bring in some sponsorships.
I'll be surprised if you can pull it under a minute, buddy. But if I was a betting man, I'd bet against you.
I'm going to cheat by pre-icing my glassware. All right, can I do that?
It's in the rules. You ready for me to count you down? 3. In the voice of JD Spradlin, 3, 2, 1, go!
We're going down right now. Here we go. Whoop! There's your Flair just for you, Robbie. And 2 ounces of Traveler's whiskey. This is some famous cowboy. All right. And 1 ounce of simple syrup, or finest called sugar syrup. 1 ounce of lemon juice, again from Finest Call. I'm going to shake that up really hard. Boom, boom. And strain that back into the glass. And here's where my time is going to be ticking. And double tapping this. Get some of these powdered egg whites in there. Dump that out. Do the dry shake as hard as I can. Shaking it up. My dog is barking at me. Here we go. And pouring it over top of fresh ice. All right, there's a nice little foam in there. And I'll strain it. A little strawberry wine as the float on this New York Sour. The Traveler's New York Sour. Am I even on?
Well done, buddy. I feel you. Like I know there's some technical difficulties there because you switched your iPad last minute. It was probably a different scene that wasn't set up. So we're gonna have to assume that you did it under a minute because I don't know.
That was all my fault because I didn't plug in my computer. Oh darn! What a great drink to pick when the timing was going to be off.
What I'm going to guess is going to happen now. I'm going to go, but it's going to be on your camera. So maybe we just make sure that's set up so it's on my turn to go. And let me give it a second to get set up now that I think about it.
All right.
Alrighty. So, all right, Dean, I'm ready.
Cowboy on this. I forget.
Whenever you are, buddy. If you want to give me a countdown.
Oh, all right. In my famous or the best cadence of JD Spradlin that I can pull off today. Crowd, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, that might be more like Dean Serneels, but here it is. 3, 2, 1, go!
So today we are starting off with 1 ounce of Fundador brandy, along with 1 ounce of Plantaray dark rum, Plantaray plantation, whatever you call it. The new name is Plantaray, which we're going to get more into that in a bit. 1/4 ounce of dark cream to cacao. And then we're going to use 1 ounce of a beef syrup. That's basically a simple syrup with beef bouillon and some edible gold flakes in there. 1 ounce of that. 2 dashes of chocolate bitters. And then 2 drops of saline. Yes, I'm making it a thing. We're going to stir that goodness. And when we stir, we smile. And then we're going to pour that goodness right into our chilled coupe glass. Using our fancy products from barproducts.com and our good friends over at Cocktail Kingdom. And there we have, where's the beef?
Where's the beef? That's awesome. I just paste. There we go. Still trying to solve my technical difficulty over here. Well done, sir. That looks delicious.
Thank you, brother. We actually did this cocktail before at last year's Bartenders Shakedown. Slightly different with some different products, but it was paired with our entree, which was steak and potatoes. So it's got a great alcohol really through line, but that chocolate and the saline bring it in, where when you pair it with steak, oh my God, it just complements each other so nice. And you don't want to stop, and you don't want to stop drinking or stop eating. I highly recommend you remake this with a steak, and you're going to be blown away.
Nice. Cool. I need to see if I can get this other camera going. Can you chat for a couple of minutes there, Mr. Rob?
Yeah, can I fill some time? Is my name Tony Abuganum? I can fill some time. So yeah, we got a lot of great stuff coming up. I love giving secrets away on this show, and I think it may be time to share a little secret. Like we were saving this for June 9th, but we can talk about it now. It's no surprise that Dean Serneels and I brought back the FBA, the Flair Bartenders Association. But with that, we've done a lot of good things. We've been working behind the scenes, updating some stuff on the website and doing some stuff, and we're about to launch it. But I'm happy to say that we have brought back the FBA Pro Tour, and the first event for the FBA Pro Tour will be the Cocktail Art Challenge. So all the competitors that sign up will gain points for that. And from there, there's a lot more competitions coming, a lot more in-person events, maybe an online competition coming, a lot of great things. And I'm just so proud of all the hard work that everyone's put into it. Mariano Gill's been putting on some great competitions, so we're looking to get him involved with the speed competitions, the accuracy competitions, the flair competitions, a lot of good things. And we're talking to a lot of good people overseas as well, and making it an international thing again. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication, a lot of passion. The FBA has meant so much to so many of us. I wouldn't be where I'm at without it. And it's great that those that started off competing on stage with FBA are now paving the way for others to compete on stage for the FBA and lead the way. So, Dean, I'm pretty proud of that. What are your thoughts? Great point, Dean. I concur. Oh my God. Dean's in the middle of setting up his computer right now. He's having technical difficulties. But again, the FBA, the cool thing about the FBA, the best thing that I loved it back in the day is the communication and the information is out there. So now there's a calendar of like, hey, when's a Flair Bartending comp coming up? When's an education coming up? When's a training? The calendar is there with already stuff that's been up, things that are upcoming. So now you can go to one spot to see when all the FBA events are coming up, when all your events are coming up, and share them with other bartenders around the world so we can help get the information out there, as well as bringing back the communication where like, hey, I have this question, but I don't know if I want to go to this Facebook forum or if I want to ask it on Instagram, and I feel weird asking here, and it's a safe place here at the FBA, and we're all here to encourage and help each other out. And it's coming June 10th on National Flair Bartenders Day. We can't wait to tell you more about it, but there was your tease until then. And then on June 10th, we're doing some fun stuff for that as well. National Flair Bartenders Day, as you know, we like to balance education as well as showcase entertaining flair. So we have 3 seminars planned ahead of time. Let's see, what time would that be? That would be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. Each 1-hour seminars during that time. Education pieces. I know Dean's talking about teaching one about bar magic and bar tricks. I've got something fun that I'm going to reveal after June 10th and before June 10th and talk about that. And then we have a special one with some good guests coming up for that. And then it all goes live at 5 p.m. during the Cocktail Art Challenge to showcase the competition live on stage and really balance that flair up until we finish around midnight or so. We got 23 competitors, all from around the world in pro, advanced, and amateur, and it's going to be a great time. Really.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, buddy.
Can you hear me now? I think there we go. I'm so sorry, Rob, but great job. Great job, man. That was great.
And the crazy thing is, we're still 5 minutes ahead of time.
right. I was like, call it JD. I can't get this thing going. So,
Well, speaking of JD, are you up and ready? You ready to go? And would you like to introduce our guest of honor? Or would you like me to do it, my friend?
Geez, I don't know. I think we're both clamoring to do it. I don't have anything prepared. However, gosh, I wouldn't be able to MC any of the competitions that I have MC'd for the last 30 years without the inspiration of this gentleman that's joining us, without stealing all of his great lines. I remember when I was first getting into Flair down at Quest and whatnot, I got to meet JD, and he held my hand and helped me get ready on stage and get me ready to go. He is the first person that any rookie bartender gets to talk to when they get on stage, and the last person that any veteran bartender hugs and high fives when they're leaving the stage. So integral to all the success that any of us have had, being a bartender, big competitions, small competitions around the world, the global voice of Flair. Please put your hands together for JD Spradlin. 3, 2, 1, go!
Yo! There he is! JD Spradlin.
What's
welcome,
up, guys?
I don't think...
You can tell by
Good to
our
see you
utter
both.
excitement.
That was a good intro.
Yeah, I don't think Dean could have done it any better. Anyone could have done it better. But JD, before we get into anything, the first question we always ask is, what are you drinking?
Well, you know the right answer, Rob, and I know that Dean knows this as well. Who's our sponsor?
Finest
We're
calls helping
drinking
us
the
out
sponsors.
today. Margaritaville, are you drinking a margarita?
It's whoever the sponsor
No,
is today.
Red Solo
you
Cups
guys
are
know
our
I like-
sponsor today.
I think it was Ron White. They were asking him what kind of scotch does he drink. He said, until they sponsor me, scotch. So I am drinking bourbon.
Good
nice,
answer.
nice. I want to do a shout out to Shay Court, who just said hello as well. Hello, Shay.
Yeah,
She'll be down there
Shay
too
will-
with you guys at Cocktail Art Challenge. There she is again. Woohoo!
Yep, I just talked to her with Natty Peralta during lunch today, so it's great to see Shay on the show, and looking forward to seeing her on June 10th, baby.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're just getting the band back together here, aren't we, Rob?
Yes.
So amazing. All right, JD, we know what you're drinking. Tell us, if people are tuning in and they don't know who JD Spradlin is, the poor unlucky souls of the world, what was the last comp that you MC'd? When was the last time you were on stage with Flair?
You know, Rob and I were talking about this. I think it had to have been one of his while y'all were doing your exhibition and trying to deal with Mother Nature technology. I was pulling up all the comps I had ever done that I have record of. And I guess it would have to be the Flair Bar. Rob, did we say it in 2014? I guess that was the last one.
2014 Bartenders Bash, I think it was, that I can recall.
Wow.
It must have been. I know the first Bartender Bash was what, 1998, I think?
I wasn't there for then.
That.
Yeah, I think it was a little before then, because I came in May 9th, 1999. I know the day because it changed my life when I happened to look on stage and see a Flair bartending competition live, and you were emceeing it, and Rick Barcode and Rob the Tin Man Ford just killing it. I was impressed. But I know 99 was my first time at Bash.
I think I had the first one at 98, and that's when Bill Long and I ran it for got 15 years, I think, something like that, before you took over.
Yep.
It's been a while. So I guess to answer your question in the longest human way possible, I think it was Flair Bar. Yeah, Rob's comp in Sunny Isle Beach, Florida, right? Sunny Isle.
Yeah, we did that one. It was a twofer. We did the Bartenders Bash series. We did the Flair. We did the mixology portion as well. That was fun, which we're filming that TV show back then. And then the next day, we did the first ever IBA USBG Flair qualifier for America again, which you emceed that as well. So technically, it was the USBG IBA Flair qualifier. The next day was the last one that I remember, and that's a huge honor, my friend.
Yeah, but I guess I sucked because that was the last one I did. So.
Never. Everyone knows I'm very loyal, so whoever did the last comp always has first dibs, and unfortunately, we haven't brought that back.
I'm
But
messing with
happy
you,
to see you jumping up June 10th, and no one can compare to you, my friend. You are the best as far as I'm concerned.
I appreciate the call. It's going to be fun to get back in it. I love Flair. I love the bartenders. I like watching the ladies and gentlemen of Flair have their best shows, and and even when they shit the bed. It's a learning experience, and you have to come away with your head high. So it's a whether win or lose, it's a growth experience, and I like sharing that with an audience.
I don't know if you just saw the comment there, but it was by Adrian Reyes. He was talking about that Bartenders Bash in 2014 that UMC'd was his first competition, and he's going to be on stage with us on June 10th. So it's going to be full circle again, buddy.
Cool. We'll do it again. Rock the
Nice.
house.
Dean? Oh, I just saw his message. I'll take over Dean's question then. So, JD, to catch everybody up, what inspired you to be an MC?
Timing. Oh, MC. Wow. Flair, you got to specify. I've been doing a lot of stuff. If you're talking about Flair or MC, period.
Just MCing. Just your first start getting into MCing. How did that happen?
It was, wow, I guess it was with Disney. The way it worked back in the day is we double dipped. We were DJs, we were video hosts. And then when a gig came around, whether it was anything, we just took the guys, it was like three of us that did the MC stuff. We just rotated. We simply, you went this time, it's my turn this time, and we just simply rotated. But I guess it was just part of the job. I guess the first thing I ever really MC'd was the happy hour. Yeah, I guess it was happy hour, Zappy Hour at Disney back in, 89, I guess. And it just comes to, if you're not playing music, you have a mic, and then you just, you carry it along. Now, the Flair came along because in 1991, my partner, Dick Tracy, hosted the internal competition on the island. It was just our bartenders. We were trying it out because the first quest was 92.
I'm good, Joe. Can you hear me?
And yeah, we got you. I got you.
I'm so sorry.
There he is. Yeah, so simply put, Dick hosted the 91, and he broke his ankle and would have done the first quest in 92, but because he had a broken ankle, I stepped in, and I'm glad it happened that way.
Oh my God, talk about break a leg and then taking it and making a career with it. Jesus. Like what Dean said earlier, like you inspired so many and you were so professional in all the things you did, which we're going to get into later. There's so many questions about that. But let's get into more of now. Let's segue into how is it different emceeing like events like bar mitzvahs and parties and things like that to actually emceeing a bartending competition?
It's funny you should say that. Because I learned a long time, because I used to work with kids, and you talk about bar mitzvahs and kid parties and stuff like that. And I was really good because I was with a YMCA, and I was really good with working with kids. And I was going to school, FSU, to study working with kids. And I realized that kids don't make a lot of money, but adults do. And the same skills I was using to entertain kids, and I was good at it, I learned quickly that when adults drink, they become kids. And the same skill pattern, same skill set works on both. So yeah, I guess that was the transition for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've heard you actually say that on stage, and I related to that, not just from emceeing, but actually being behind the bar is like sometimes you're just babysitting, whether you're babysitting kids or you're babysitting inebriated patrons. They're both about the same level. So I'm with you on that, buddy.
And they want to have fun. Like you said, when you were shaking and smiling, we shake, we smile. You're always on stage, and the bartender that knows he's on stage, whether it's in a competition or not, those are the most successful ones. Because if you're smiling, you're also heads up, and you're you do that bartender voodoo that you do. You're always watching, for the next patron or a possible fight, and you do everything behind the bar. And when you MC, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're watching the crowd to make sure you're going in the right direction. If you go too fast, you lose them, or like Dean, you might have to drop an F-bomb just to get their attention.
That's true.
You're always watching and listening, and I guess listening is the best thing. You always have to listen to the crowd, whether they're actually speaking to you or not, because visually, they're giving you how they feel. not having a good time.
You bring up working with kids and children's birthday parties and stuff. That's how I got started as well, doing magic. Well, I was doing magic for bartenders, but then it became doing magic for kids' birthday parties. And from there, I learned how to work with kids. And now when I do my presentations, I am drawing on that experience almost every day when I'm presenting, just to get people to pay attention to me. That's why I was joking around about dropping the F-bomb. There's Chris Cooper. Hey, buddy. Sorry to interrupt that. But Chris goes all the way back to Team Canada days. Remember Team Canada coming in and making noise before Argentina showed up?
Yeah, before Argentina ruined it with all their talent.
All of the raw talent.
Let me ask you this, because for me, like, you mean so much to me in so many different ways. I can't even begin to express it. But as a competitor, going up to like legends, and I think Quest was my first big one in Orlando, and I was so nervous getting up there, and I was literally like shaking setting up, and you saw that in me, and you purposely delayed and stalled the judges and the audience just so I had more time to set up, so I was ready to go. Like, you are such a professional of making the competitors feel at home, making them feel welcome. You stall when you need to. You get in their ear and say a little something to them sometimes when you know they need to hear it before the round starts, or even during the round and they're dropping, you're trying to get them back into it, and you use the crowd to help get back into it. You do that so well. What are those secrets that you can pass on to the MCs of the next generation of how to do that?
Well, it's like what I said before. You want, as a host, for the bartender who has hit that trick 1,000 times in their garage or in their yard in front of their friends. You want them to, you can hit that trick, and they know they can hit it. You just have to remind them sometimes, you can hit this. You want them to have their best show and being relaxed. It's hard to catch something when you're shaking. So you want them to be relaxed. You want the bartender, of course, to be relaxed and you want them to be able to put on the best show possible, and anything you can do to help them. I feel it's your job as the host to help them, because if I want to be selfish about it, the better y'all look, the better I look. So
that's the truth, isn't it? It's the absolute truth. Robbie Flair is joining us from Ohio as well. Robbie Flair,
Robbie T.
Yeah, Robbie Turek. There he is. Hey, JD. I used to have a thing where I would take my new bartenders that were on the stage through the roller coaster speech, and I would tell them that it's just like you're on a roller coaster. As soon as that 3, 2, 1 go happens, you're on a roller coaster. You can't.
He's on that roller coaster. He's coming up the hill.
He's hanging on. He's hanging on. Oh,
Dean, you froze on us.
Exactly.
Dean, are you there?
I think I'm here. I don't know if I'm here or not.
There you go. You're back. There we go.
Man, Allison has done her best to bring it back to live here. Allison and Joe working behind the scenes here. Thank you guys both.
So, Dean, you're asking a question.
Thank you. Oh, I see. I see what's going on. All right, we're good. Hey! Woo! Thank God I got a drink for all this. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys so much. What a horrible guest for me to go wrong on. I guess there's no guest for this would be good for, right? Of all the competitions you've emceed, JD, what are your favorite competitions and why?
They all kind of have a lifeblood of their own. Quest, because we brought that up from an idea to an actual competition, and then we're able to tweak it along the way. That was kind of fun.
Right.
The shows we did in Grand Cayman were fantastic because
they were.
We spent at least the first year, what was that, 2001, something like that, simply pinching ourselves. Couldn't believe that Flair got us to the BVI, So that was kind of cool.
Right.
It was like, how the hell did we get
here? To the islands?
But I think the competition that I was most proud of is probably the triple challenge we did. It was a one-off. Okay. We did that in Panama City Beach at some resort. The crowd wasn't there because there wasn't a crowd. But as far as the staging, it was the first time we had a kiss and cry. I think
That's right.
We had brochures for the audience, with the bartenders. We had all the dream things that I've always wanted to do. And Jim Allison was like, what's your blue sky? What do you want to do? I said, well, okay, if you're going to ask me, I want this. And we did it. I think it was the first competition. I don't even know if they do them anymore, where it was like gymnastics. You could do the balance beam, the floor, or the rings. You could do one of them or all of them. So if someone wasn't comfortable, they didn't have to enter. They just did what they were comfortable with, And of course,
Right.
if
They
you
could
did
do the
all
speed round, but not the Flair round, or the Flair round and not the exit round.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think because I brought all the gear up from Orlando and all of us put our heads together and worked a lot of hard hours to pull it off, I think that was probably my most satisfying. I wish it had the ability or the money to keep going.
Right. I remember they flew us down to scout out the location, and then we ran the competition a few months later. That was kind of fun. We thought we were pitching ourselves as well because Jim Allison and I, both of our families were put up in the I guess the penthouses of that hotel that we were at. We were given the whole red carpet treatment because they thought we were bringing in some kind of big show, some Cirque du Soleil style show, and for us it was a big show for us.
A beast. But the way we set up the room, I mean, we did things differently. I think we triangled the room instead of squared it because it was different and gave us a back. I mean, we did all these really interesting things. We had a lot of, people who had been doing it a while, including, us, to have let's try this. Okay, let's do it. And we did. So I think that reward, I know it's a long ass answer, but
I remember it well. I brought my family down for that. That was how I got paid, actually, just enough money in order to take the family down to Florida. And that was, like you said, the first kiss and cry we did. I was off stage, or actually to the side of the stage with
you hosted that, right?
Competitors. When they were done with JD, they'd come talk to me, and we'd have a cocktail together. And then they just.
You want to explain what a kiss and cry is? Not everybody might not know what a kiss and cry.
Yeah, you go ahead and explain that.
Ice skating. Well, it's like ice skating. They come off the ice, singles or doubles, and they sit them down waiting for the judge's score. They're sweaty. They've been through the ringer of emotions, and now somebody like Dean Serneels is shoving a mic in their face.
Right.
Making them talk about how the event went. And did we have instant replay then, or is that something that didn't work? I don't think we had it up then.
I don't think we had that running for that.
I can't remember any.
That was one of the things
with FBA. Yeah.
We tried so hard to do that because that's, again, one of those things that I think would just have been freaking cool. We didn't get all the things we wanted, but we got several. And I think the kiss and cry was, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, we're still trying to work out the instant replays for comps. But I remember the kiss and cry because we were drinking Cosmopolitans at every time somebody sat down. I had a drink ready for them, and I had one ready for me. So I think by the end of the night, I was in no shape to be talking in front of a camera by then.
But there was so much.
Yeah, you were gone.
There was no other comps at that time that really put that effort into the showmanship and overall entertainment of the show for the audience. It was always about logistics and putting on the stage and the lighting for the bartenders. But that was the first time, and I'm glad that, Jim and Ken asked you, what can we do to make this better? I vividly remember the kiss and cry, and that was such an impact that we now do that in other events, is pull that competitor off stage and let's get them while they're fresh off their thing. And how did it go? I'm like, you guys started that.
It was one of the mannequins competition late in the seasons of it, where I wanted to do, and we did it for the first time. We had the bartenders interview to camera, and then it was on the screen behind them.
Awesome.
That was the first comp. That was the first comp we ever did that, and that gave the audience something to watch. It let the personality of the bartender start to come through, because that's the other thing with the pre-interviews. We always wanted the crowd to get to know the bartender and the bartender to get to know the crowd. But with the video intros, that was kind of, like they do in the NBA, or I think they probably stole that from us, bastards. But I think that was the first. That was definitely the first time we did that. And I remember trying to pull those strings. There was so much going on. I had nightmares the night after because I kept hearing people scream my name because there was so many things going on. I literally woke up like someone had just screamed my name. It was the weirdest thing. But you guys know, you've put on a couple comps in your life. It's nerve wracking, but yet we smile through it and then have nightmares the night after.
Just
It's part of the gig, part of the gig.
It sure is.
Keep going, man. We got this. So
just people yelling
again,
your name.
a long answer. Oh. What?
Robbie? Well, yeah. If anybody has any questions for JD, please put a Q in the question or in the messages, and you can ask JD a question yourselves. So Q, add your question, and we'll get you up on screen with the question. That'd be great. Chris Cooper says your MC calls at Legends made Legends legendary.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Chris. Yeah, those were fun. Those were fun.
We were reminiscing about a few of those prior to JD getting on the screen here. 3, 2, 1, go! Being the most famous and internationally recognized. What are some of the other favorites we had? 2 minutes remaining. Take all the time you want, but no longer than 2 minutes. One of my favorites.
30 seconds remaining. That was a good one. Sharp as the day were forged. That was one of them.
2 tins equals 20.
Shaker tins, because everybody was cutting their fingers on the shaker tins, right? Sharp as the day they were forged.
Sharp as the day they were forged. I actually stole that from a Flying Karamazov routine that they filmed at the Met back in the late 80s. And they were talking about agricultural implements, any of the sickles, that you use to hack wheat. And the guy was going to juggle them, and he said, these are sharp as the day they were forged. And I was like, I can steal that. I can use that.
Cobalt blue, finest call stall. I know Dean coined that phrase with finest call, but you were the first one to say it actually in a competition, if I'm not mistaken. Jesus, there's so many.
Finest call stall. Finest call, it's in there. Yeah.
You can tip with your applause. Like I still use that one all the time that I heard from you the first time. There was
where do you think you come up with catchphrases, JD?
Sometimes out of necessity.
Right.
Like the first year we had Finest Call, they came with nothing. And so we had no way really to pitch them because it was a brand new product. It was, we had nothing to give, no swag, nothing. So I just needed a way to say their name on the mic so they would think that giving the money they gave us was worth it. So the only thing I could think of is every time they touched the bottle, I'd say their name, and I couldn't just say Finest Call.
It's in there.
So Finest Call, it's in there. It's simple as that. Out of necessity, pure necessity.
When we put it in that perspective, it was almost like you were just kind of like struggling for something to say and going, "Well, it's in there. It's in there. I guess that's it." And then for that to stick. Yeah. Of course, years later, Bill Hinkebine asked me specifically in person, what can we do to get better recognized on stage? And that's when I said, well, maybe we need a move that's just like a finest call move, like maybe a stall. And then I connected that finest call and stall rhyme, and it became the finest call stall. So
you pulled it out.
As iconic as it's become, it wasn't so hard to put together.
Yeah, you're being creative is what we do, and you're doing it to please the sponsor because at the end of the day, it's their money that we get to give to our friends. So, yeah.
That's a great way of putting it.
So those of you watching, if you have any questions, put a Q in the comments so we know to ask those questions on stage and in the show. But JD, another thing I'm always impressed with about you is regardless if you're at Legends of Bartending and you're in a tuxedo, or if you're at the Bartenders Bash series and you're in a cutoff shirt because you always cut off the sleeves and a bathing suit bottom, you're always the utmost professional. Speedo, yeah. And you fit the mold of the environment and on the stage. What advice would you give to the MCs of how to be so professional on stage no matter what event you're at?
My rule of thumb is you always want to dress one level up. So if everybody's in a suit and tie, I'm going to wear a tuxedo. If everybody, and for like the bartender bash, everybody was in a bathing suit. So by wearing at least a shirt with the sleeves cut off, I think I even made it a half shirt, I think, or something.
A couple times.
It's once I was dressed. I was dressed one notch above the competitors in the crowd. So you don't want to, if you overdress, you look stuffy. If you underdress, you look sloppy. So you got to match their level and then add one to it.
You know, I've told people that a lot of times, and I didn't realize that I got it from you.
Yeah.
Now I know. Now I know. Hey, I got a question from the comments section. Let me read it off for you here. Chris Cooper calling in from Mexico. He'll correct me on in New Mexico. What's your favorite performance that you called of all time? Do you remember a specific performer and their specific round?
Wow. We've seen a few. I think the first one that really impressed me, I mean, I got to go back to Alan Mays.
Great.
I think he was the first one. He was the first one that actually, which I love, choreographed it to music. It wasn't just music being played while he did stuff. He, and Christian Delpeche, of course, took that to the next level. So I'd go the two. The first time I saw Alan Mays do a semi-choreographed routine, at least recognize the music. And then the first time that I saw Christian Delpeche do a complete, Cirque du Soleil show to it, all the stops and pauses and winks and kicks. That was one of my, and then I gotta give props to my boy Storm, Tim Norman, at the one of the quests.
The Tin Man.
He made Storm. He was famous for his specialty rounds, but he did one where it was no music. He just pre-recorded himself thinking, and that was he was like, I gotta put 1 ounce of whatever it is, and he just heard him count 1, 2, 3. All right. It was very creative. Anytime somebody can be creative and go, oh, that's different, then I guess it sticks. But it's hard. Thanks for the question, but it's really hard to fit just one and a date and time. So that's about as ballpark as I can come up with at this point.
You talk about Christian Delpeche taking Alan Mays to the next level of choreography, and I think it was Triple Challenge when we first saw that, when he was bumping to every beat of the song, and like every single move he had was linked into the beat of the song, and of course he didn't miss a beat. So that's one of the performances that I remember that we watched together anyway.
Yeah, he'd take a phrase of a song, and when it ended, it would stall. It's like it was being conducted, I guess is the best way I could put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of talent.
I've seen it since.
A lot of talent. It's hard to do because once you mess up, you got to get back on. It's like playing a guitar solo and dropping your guitar and then picking it up and trying to get back into the solo. It's kind of hard to do.
Right.
JD, we're excited to see you come back to the Flair Bartending stage on Monday, June 10th for National Flair Bartenders Day at the Cocktail Art Challenge in Beer Garden in Boca Raton, Florida. But what are your thoughts going into it, and what can everyone expect?
Man. Well, they can expect a quality competition because it's being hosted by the one and only Rob, 5 o'clock somewhere, Husted. It's going to be a quality event. I hope my voice hangs out because I'm going to be so excited to be back watching these artists, athletes do their thing. I'm excited to see because I've been out of it for a while. I'm kind of curious where it has gone, where it's plateaued, and who's going to take it to the next step.
Yeah, it's crazy. Every couple of years, the game changes from what we thought was the plateau and the rooftop to that ceiling just gets shattered. And like, oh my God, they just did that in how much time? And they entertained us, and they finished their drinks with quality cocktails. Mind blown.
Yeah.
What do you think of the quality cocktails
be-
being added to competitions? The competitions of the past were a lot of flair. There wasn't a lot of focus on the cocktail itself. Rob's new comps are all like 50% the value of the drink. We're tasting the drink. We're making sure it's perfect and tastes the way it should. How do you feel about that evolution?
Well, I mean, it holds them to truth. Who was it? The little Delpeche came in as not a bartender.
Rodrigo.
He didn't know how to make a drink. Rodrigo came in not knowing how to make a drink, but hell, he could flair. But he had to. He learned how to flair first, and then became a bartender. So yeah, when we started doing mixology and working flair, and matching like the chopped, like here are your ingredients, make a drink, kind of thing. That was a nice evolution because it slowed things down a little bit. So it wasn't like I'm watching a Vegas show. Now I'm watching an artist perform, and kind of combine everything together. From working flair to, oh my God, this drink matches perfectly with this entree or this amuse-bouche or whatever. So,
right, and they can tie the theme of the drink in and the name of the drink in with their round and their music, and they can kind of choreograph the whole thing together. So
I just heard from Ben Rose. He's like, and you can say Ben Rose ruined it. So Ben Rose
there he goes. What's up, kids?
There he is.
Wasn't Ben coined the third voice of Flair as a joke one time on FlairBar.com? I think when we interviewed him.
I don't know. I always tried to sound like him. I don't know. Could never do it. I love Ben.
He's had a career of talking on the mic since then.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from JD. I learned a lot from Dean, and I can say I learned a lot from Ben Rose emceeing the competitions too. Like in Chico Garcia, like Stretch, like everyone brought something to the table. You try to pick those moments of how they control the crowd. And JD, you taught me this so well. Like you don't need to whip them. Like there's so many tools that you can do, and I learned so much from so many of you. So thank you. But you want to go into a little bit more of not whipping the crowd and like how to get the crowd behind somebody.
Well, it's the same way, and before put a thumb pick in that because I want to give Ben a compliment since he can't talk back, which I love. No, Ben was one of those guys, Dean, like we were talking, that he is so good at entertaining kids and the heads up. He is really good at reading the crowd and then using his humor and quickness to stay one step ahead of them. So he was really good at doing that. So kudos to him for doing that. So as far as going to the whip. No one wants to be yelled at, It's like, scream louder. Yeah, you don't need to do that, because it gets, if you beat a horse, the horse is going to stop listening. Same with the crowd. I always said it was kind of like riding a wave or pedaling a bike. If you're trying to catch a wave, if you over paddle, you're going to miss the wave. If you under paddle, you're going to miss it too. You have to get the speed and stay one step ahead of it so you can ride it. And you're doing the same thing with the crowd. I mean, it's like when you DJ, I come from a DJing background, you can't hit them with your highest RPM all the time. You have to, just like music, you've got to flow with them. And again, try to do what Ben and Dean and others do so well, stay ahead of them and know where they're going to wind up. It's like Wayne Gretzky said he wasn't the fastest, but he knew where the puck was going to go, so he beat him there. As an MC, You're kind of doing the same thing. You know where you want to wind up. Sometimes you got to let them rest. So you can't go to the whip all the time because they just won't respond.
Right, you can't overwork them. Ben Rose says thank you very much, and Chris Cooper has another question for all of us. What do you think needs to happen to keep the world of quality flair and mixology back into the mainstream or getting more exposure?
You want to take that, Dean, or you want me to take a crack at it?
I want you to take a crack at it.
Money. It's going to take money.
Right.
I think we were at our height. We were at the height of our game. It started with Jack Daniels, and then when Sky came in,
right,
they gave us the money. And
Guy in Finest
it
Call.
made
Finest Call
it.
showed up with a lot.
Its Finest Call is another one. Oh, and Coco Rio and all the other ones that came along after. It's with their money that nice graphic. It made it, a bartender will practice more if there's a bigger Happy Gilmore check at the end of the road waiting for him.
Right. So to
I
push
always
that
said
one further, what do we need to do in order to get more people to show up with more money?
Well, you guys know this better than me because you're still in the entertainment / food and bev business.
Right.
I guess with anything, and Dean, you know this, you have to convince the ones with the money that the product is worth what they're going to buy.
Right.
So, they have to get the bang for the buck. And that's up to the bartenders, and that's up to the hosts and the organizers, people like, that Rob, that keep the thing going. You got to have, with the stuff that Ken Hall and Jim did beforehand and what you guys are doing now, it's a lot of boots on the ground. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of preparation that no one sees unless you are in the industry, and then, take it for granted. But so I guess I would start with more money to make it able to
more money. Like you said, I got to just spring off of this. Like Chris said, that question's for all of us. And I'm going to echo again what Phil Wills said a couple of weeks back. You got to do the work. And Rob and I have been working really hard on getting Cocktail Network Live and this show to a point where we can start asking for some sponsorship money for the show itself. And Rob introduced earlier, talking about the Flair Bartenders Association, how we're coming back with that. And of course, there's Deborah Richards signing on with my next comment. Shaken and Stirred might help. Shaken and Stirred is our documentary about the world of Flair bartending and the world that you were such a big part of, early 2000s, telling some of that story, and then following some brand new bartenders, well, not brand new bartenders, but bartenders in current bartending competitions, some of Rob's events. So we do have that documentary coming. There's a book coming out of Europe that really documents the whole encyclopedia of Flair bartending, where it started in the 80s. And then, of course, hundreds of years prior to that. But it's coming. It's right around the corner. We're so close to being back into the mainstream media. That's why we're working so hard, diligently in the background, kind of planning ahead, because we know we can reach it again, and we're trying to do that work in the background to get live and to get more people watching, not just here, but around the world on competitions. So that's my spiel. Thank you, Chris.
If I can put in my 2 cents, since it was asked to all of us, to answer Chris's question about the quality of cocktails, I 100% agree to this. And then it's funny, Dean and I talk. If we don't talk at least every 2 days, then there's an issue. But we were talking like literally 2 weeks ago. And as I was filling in these events this whole year onto the FBA calendar, I was just blown away. Like, there's a common thread here. It's no longer just taking the sponsors and dumping it into a glass and calling it the sponsor special cocktail. A lot of these bartending competitions the last couple of years are now judged on quality of cocktail and mixology as well as entertainment on stage. And that's something Dean and I have been preaching since 2008. And we really made the push for it in 2014, which is the last comp JD emceed with the USBG IBA Flair qualifier, where cocktail was an important value. And now seeing it be a standard in today's competitions for Flair, it's no longer of when it's coming. It's here. It's worldwide. And the sponsors love seeing that. And like Dean talks so elegantly about, now they have not just a product where they can showcase Flair and be entertained, but now they can take that quality cocktail and utilize it for their advantages, teaching other bartenders how to replicate that, because it's easy to teach a recipe to someone, and it's a lot harder to teach someone how to Flair.
Yes, true.
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to say that for entertaining. I used to say that for entertaining DJs. It's easier to teach somebody to DJ rather than be an entertaining DJ. You got to have somebody with a personality, magician, or someone who can play with kids and teach them how to DJ or bartend. I mean, it's the same side of a different coin. That makes sense.
Yeah,
it's
we've said that a lot about hiring bartenders. Got a higher personality. I'll teach them how to bartend. So,
any monkey can bartend, right?
Exactly. But not everyone has personality.
Yeah, that cocktail is going to be such
True.
a big part. I mean, the sponsors or even the organizers at some point will have cocktail calendars, and then every month of the year will be a different Flair bartender / bartender that created this cocktail, and QR codes to go watch the bartender, cocktail books on tables, menus. You'll be able to source all of these cocktails. But JD, following that same question, what kind of advice can we give to new bartenders as we're going into a renaissance of Flair / mixology? There will be new MCs coming in and new voices of Flair. What advice can you give to these new voices of Flair that are coming in? Where to get started?
I would say, well, you got to respect the sport. You've got to respect the bartenders and give them the weight and know that, you know, it's the MCs, and this is across any field of entertainment. Get out of the way, you know, set them
Love
up.
it.
You're not the star. I was never the star. It was always the bartender. My job was to set them up and get the hell out of the way. If they need a pat on the butt or, you know, an encouraging word, you give it to them, and you make sure the crowd stays on top of it. And then part of your job too is to entertain and inform the crowd. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on up there, and sometimes it happens so quickly, you miss it, you know. So and if you know your bartenders who are competing and you know them well enough and do enough competitions, you can tell when one of these athlete entertainers are setting up a big move, and you can help it land not only the trick but the crowd. Like, here it comes, there it is, kind of thing. And that's not going to the whip. That's kind of pre-selling it, because you know it's going to happen. And that goes back to, especially before we got into so much of the choreography and every beat has to land. So before the choreograph stuff, it was, you know, if a bartender missed the trick, you know, you encourage them to hit it because you know they can. You follow me? So,
yeah,
he missed it.
Yeah, there
hit
was
you hit it. I think the line was, "You hit it and we'll scream." So you're hitting yourself.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Because bartenders would go back and they would try their move again and try it again, and then you'd set the audience up and go, "If he hits it, you're going to scream." And then, of course, the bartender would hit it. I actually worked that into some of my routines when I was a Flair bartender. I would miss it on purpose twice. And then kind of work the crowd and then throw it and catch it, you know, and kind of build them up. So I stole that and worked it the other way around. Hey, I gotta do a shout out to Chris Cooper.
You were hustling
him. Right. Chris Cooper has been on with a couple of questions today. I have to do a shout out to Chris. He's a former Team Canada member when we were down there making noise as Team Canada. However, my very first batch of Flair Co. bottles were in the trunk of my car when I went to a bartending competition in Ontario, Oakville, Ontario. Chris walked over to me as a fellow competitor, and we just started chit-chatting. Chris was the first other Flair bartender to touch a Flair Co. bottle. That's it.
Pretty cool.
He's done all kinds of other really great things too, but for me, that's where it touches my heart. We grew up together in this world of Flair over in Canada, and then down in Florida at Quest as well. We traveled a lot together. So,
JD, before we go to the port forward, what are your future plans?
Oh, well, I was gonna, I don't know, finish this drink and make another one and probably go home.
Yeah, living in the moment.
No big plans. What do you got going on? What future plans? Well, I'm doing radio, so I really don't have Flair bar plans, because your call came out of the blue. I'd kind of hung up my microphone in this, but so future plan. I'm still doing Sirius XM radio, and I've done it for 17 years now. I plan on doing it again tomorrow.
And then where can people listen to you on Sirius?
Yeah.
Sirius XM Channel 24. It's Jimmy Buffett's Radio Margaritaville. But if you don't have Sirius, it's free. at jimmybuffett.com. You can listen in. And yeah.
And when are you specifically on so
Channel
we can
24.
tune in for you?
On the air, Channel 24. Or where do I broadcast from? I still broadcast from my studio. I'm in it now here in Orlando.
Are you on 24/7 or is there specific hours of the day?
Thank you for clarifying. I'm on 7 days a week. My show normally starts at 2, except on the weekends it starts at 3. I'm on like a lot. I'm on all the time. I do a lot of shows. But
Awesome.
yeah, if you hear a guy during the week, it's me. Yeah. But yeah, Channel 24. Most days I start at 2 p.m. Key West time.
Excellent. So JD, we do a spot on the show called Pour It Forward. And we have a guest from our previous show that asks a question of our next guest. So we will be asking you to do that on our break between shows. We do hope that you'll join us on One More Drink with JD Spradlin, where I'll have a perfect feed the whole time and a large glass of bourbon myself. Will you join us on our second show on Patreon?
Yeah, I need another one. So yeah.
Excellent. So let's set up this question. Our last guest was Phil Wills of Bar Rescue, and he's got his own cocktail consulting company. And he has a question for you. He's one of our favorite guests.
As a host of all of these Flair competitions, where did you find the energy to continuously keep the crowd engaged, even if they weren't sound on what Flair is? Because a lot of people would go to Flair competitions and they don't understand the technical part. So how did you keep them involved, and how did you share that information while it was entertaining during your hosting gigs? I'm curious.
That's a good question. I'll give it to you in 2 parts because you mentioned energy, and one of the things about maintaining the energy, one of the things you got to be careful of as the host is it's easy to come hot out of the box at the beginning of the night. And you guys know this better than anybody. Competition can run, 6-8 hours. What's the very first legend? We were there until 6 o'clock in the morning. So they're long.
Right.
But when you're hosting with a mic, bartender number 1, they have to have the same energy. You have to be able to give them the same energy as you do bartender number 59. I should have said 69. The point is, it's only fair to them if you bring the same game and same energy and same love. I'll use the word love to each and every one of them, no matter what level they're at or how good they think they are. But to be fair, you have to be there for everyone equally. Otherwise, it's not fair, and it's not as good of a show. Now, as far as entertaining, as well as educating the crowd, you can't just reel off a bunch of technical stuff because they'll glass over, So I do it by when you're on stage and you look at something, people tend to look at what you're looking at, which is why when you're on stage, when you're an entertainer, if there's a fight or something, you don't look at the fight. You don't rubberneck and watch the car crash because you want to ignore it. It's the same, but opposite with a bartender. As they do something, if you recognize it and you obviously enjoy it, if I see something I think blows my mind, you're going to know it blows my mind whether I say it on the mic or not. So you got to realize you're always on stage, and the way you make the crowd, I guess, intelligent. But what's good is they watch you, and you appreciate what's going on. And then the audience will see that you appreciate it and say, oh, I don't know what the hell he just did, but the loud guy in the tuxedo seemed to like it, so it must be pretty good. So that's one way of educating the crowd. Of course, you gotta tell the rules so everybody knows it's a fair fight. But most of it comes from nonverbal appreciation of what you're watching. If something blows my mind, hell, you're gonna know it, because I'm as impressed as they should be. If they don't realize it, you're like, "Are you?" That was one of my lines too. Are you watching this? Are you watching? Are you seeing what? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you watching this? So I guess that's again a long-winded answer.
Transferring
That's a
your
great question.
enthusiasm, right? Sales is just a transfer of enthusiasm.
Whether verbal or not, I think nonverbal is as important as verbal, because again, verbal is you're going to the whip, right?
Right.
So nonverbal,
Right.
I think, is just
you gotta
as
like
valuable,
this.
if not more valuable. And you can't chastise them. You can't say, well, you guys suck for not applauding. That's just obviously not the right move.
Are you not watching
Ben,
this?
Ben might do that. Ben can get away with it. What are you, an idiot? What are you fucking? No, that's a Ben Rose line.
Awesome.
No.
We're rolling into something
Long-winded
we call the final sip, where we all get to share our favorite moment from tonight's conversation. Rob, could you start us off on our final sip?
Final sip. My biggest takeaway from the show today was sometimes it's so great catching up with others when you just turn the phones off and just enjoy conversations like we had today, and how to lift others up, share the spotlight, take a step back. It's not about us all the time. It's more about them.
Good.
Where's my Rob book? My Rob the Preacher book. That all has to go in the preacher book. That Rob is. Sometimes Rob's words are just so elegant. I think he should be talking in front of a small church in a small town somewhere.
He's in his church. He's behind his own pulpit right now.
You're right. Rob the Preacher Houston has spoken.
Testify.
My final sip of the night is to not whip your audience and transfer your enthusiasm, trying to share your enthusiasm to the point that your audience just kind of it becomes infectious to the audience, and then they can appreciate what's going on stage as well. So kind of similar to Rob's. But there's my final sip, and I'm so thrilled to be on with JD. Thank you for joining us, sir.
It's my pleasure. Do I sip now? Do I get to?
Yep, you're fine.
Yes. What's your final sip? What's your final takeaway from tonight?
Well, that's easy. One of my favorite things about all the bar comps that we were involved in or have been involved in over 2 years is the after party. It's hanging out and reminiscing and talking and catching up. And my final sip for this is I felt like we were doing that. These are two people that I've known and loved forever, and just to be able to hang out and talk with them again, non-pretentiously, and just reminisce about old times, and makes me so look forward to June 10th and being able to do it in person with old friends and make some new friends and see where the sport's at. I'm really excited about it. I was excited before, but after this intervention, it got me really excited. I'm really excited about your
because you've got like a
Rob.
real job. We're trying to get you away from your real job and bring you back to where we are.
Our evil plan is working.
We're so thrilled to have you
back
in the limelight and helping to educate and indoctrinate or bring in this new generation of bartenders, because that's truly where we're at now. We've got a lot of great Flair guys that are been around for a little while, but there's such a great new generation of bartenders in total that are starting to come into this as we call sport, or as you call sport. I can't wait to have them meet you as their very first person on stage to guide them into the show. So thank you so much. We're starting it again together.
Yeah, I wish you could be here for this, man. Dean, we got to hang out again. I miss your face.
Yeah, I'll be at the October one. I'm not sure if you got that note, but you're going to be emceeing again in October.
Surprise!
Well, let's see if I pass this audition on June 10th.
There is a casting
matter,
couch.
It doesn't matter. You're in. Executive decision has been made. Thanks to everybody that tuned in tonight. JD, can you some final word just from you to our audience or to whatever as we sign off from One Drink With and get ready for one more drink with in the Patreon?
Final words. I would give my final words to bartenders who are thinking about getting into Flair or have started dipping their toe into Flair. What I always used to tell bartenders when I met them anywhere along the game is find a competition. If you want to be better, of course you got to practice, but you got to do it in front of people, not people that are wanting a drink. You got to be an entertainer. So to get better, just get up and do it. It's scary as hell, but you need to be in the spotlight to learn how to be good in the spotlight. So don't be afraid of it. Shine.
Beautiful. I love that.
Well said.
Just get on stage, right? Just get on stage.
Get on stage. Get on stage.
You know, I've always said that there's a difference between the spectators and those that are in the game, and you can't just watch. You just got to get on stage and fail like the rest of us did.
True.
Right? I don't know how elegant that came out, but you get it. All right. JD, we're going to catch up to you in a few minutes with one more drink with on our Patreon. Thank you very much for joining us today. It was extra special for both of us, I think all of us, and looking forward to getting one more drink with JD Spradlin. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Cool. And then thanks for everyone that signed in all those questions. Shay Court, Adrian Reyes, Ben Rose, Chris Cooper, Allison Scott, Madison, like all those. I love the interaction when you got it's just like on stage in a competition, Dean. When you're performing, you hear the applause from the audience, you put on a better show. When we see you guys in the comments, we put on a better show. So thank you.
There's someone watching. So great. As we go, we're halfway through season 5 of One Drink With. Having a great time. Rob, thank you very much for bringing JD Spradlin back to us. So special. Thank you very, very much. And are you ready to get into one more drink with? We want to do a shout out for next week first.
That's up to you. I'll let you play this one.
All right. Well, next week, Rob and I both have other professional engagements that we got to go pay the bills, and our professional engagements are taking away from our show, which is sad because we have so many great people that tuned in to watch us tonight, and we know you're excited about seeing the next episode. But if you can tune in next week, we have Vache Manukian. We're rerunning a show that we had with Vache. It was one of our more favorite chit chats with Vache from Vegas, all about his experience in Flair bartending and beyond, how he got started with it, which happens to be down at one of the Quest comps as well. We'll let him tell the story. But tune in next week. We're going not live, but playing a live performance of Vache. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks with...
We will let that go at the end of Vache's show.
I've been flipping.
So now you got to tune in and watch.
Who might be on? I was hoping that you had confirmed because I've been like flipping things today and thinking about it, and I don't want to tell anybody. So yeah. Okay, we'll wait for that proper announcement from Rob.
In the meantime, thanks everybody. And then Dean, you want to let them know how to get on the Patreon from here? At 9:30?
Yeah, go to patreon.com.
I think so. I've never done it before. Maybe Joe can put the link up there.
3 of the 4 members, and I don't even know how to sign on to it as yet. But you know what? All of our shows from this season are on the Patreon. So join us. Oh, look at that. Join us for One More Drink with patreon.com/Cocktail Network Live. Thanks for bailing me out there, man. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks to everybody who's tuned in today. Love you all dearly. Wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for everybody that we saw on here tonight and so many others out there. So love you all. We'll see you in the Patreon.